Tae-Hyun was right about the assassination attempt.
Wait, stop the proceedings!
Ji-woo made it to the
You have
courthouse
wrong
parking
man.
garage before
He
they
is
came,
innocent.
3 men in black suits, guns already drawn. She recognized the signs immediately: professional killers, not street thugs. The kind the Kang family employed for high-value targets. She ran. Years of martial arts training kicked in. She'd grown up in Busan with a father who'd insisted his daughter learn to defend herself. But 3 armed professionals against 1 prosecutor wasn't a fair fight. Then Tae-Hyun's security team appeared. They moved like military special forces, which they probably were. Within seconds, Ji-woo's attackers were neutralized. Disarmed. Subdued without killing them, which she noted with professional appreciation. Get her to the safe house, Tae-Hyun ordered, appearing from a black Genesis G90. Make sure no one follows. I'm not going to your safe house, Ji-woo protested. I'm a prosecutor. I have police protection. Your police protection just tried to kill you. Those men? He gestured to her subdued attackers. Seoul Metropolitan Police. Bought and paid for by my uncle. If you go to the authorities, you're dead within hours. Your only option is me. Ji-woo wanted to argue. But the badges on her would-be killers proved Tae-Hyun's point. The corruption went deeper than she'd imagined. She got in the car. The safe house was in Pyeongchang-dong, luxury neighborhood, traditional Hanok architecture modernized with bulletproof glass and security systems that would make the Blue House jealous. Tae-Hyun led her inside, dismissed his guards, and poured 2 glasses of soju. You don't drink on duty, he said. It wasn't a question. How do you know? I've been watching you for 3 years. You arrive at court exactly 30 minutes early. You drink Americano, no sugar. You work until midnight most nights. You visit your mother in Busan every other weekend. You're brilliant, dedicated, and completely incorruptible. Which is why my uncle wants you dead. Ji-woo's hand shook slightly. You've been stalking me. I've been protecting you. There's a difference. He pushed the soju toward her. Drink. You're in shock and this will help. I don't take orders from criminals. Then take advice from someone trying to keep you alive. Please. She drank. The burn helped focus her thoughts. Explain. Everything. Why your uncle framed you. Why Detective Park said I had the wrong target. Why I shouldn't arrest you right now. Tae-Hyun settled into the chair across from her. My family's empire started with my grandfather in the 1970s. Protection rackets in Gangnam when it was still farmland. My father expanded into construction, real estate, eventually legitimate businesses mixed with criminal operations. Standard Korean crime family evolution. I know the history. Get to the part where you're innocent. I'm not innocent. But I'm not guilty of what you're prosecuting me for. He pulled out a laptop, showed her files. My uncle, Kang Jae-sung, has been systematically eliminating everyone loyal to my father, who died 3 years ago. He's using family resources to build his own power base. The murders you're prosecuting me for? He ordered them. The money laundering? His accounts. The racketeering? His operations. He's been using my name, my authority, to commit crimes that will either get me convicted or killed. Why not expose him yourself? Because he has leverage. My younger sister, Kang Seo-jin. She's been living abroad, supposedly for university. Actually, she's being held by my uncle's people. If I move against him directly, she dies. So I've been playing the role of obedient nephew while secretly building evidence to destroy him. Evidence I was going to give you, if you'd ever stopped assuming I was the villain long enough to listen. Ji-woo studied the files. Transaction records. Surveillance photos. Testimony from witnesses who'd been too afraid to come forward during the trial. Everything pointed to Jae-sung as the actual mastermind. This doesn't make you innocent. Just less guilty than your uncle. I know. I participated in family business. Made choices I'm not proud of. Hurt people to maintain the empire. But I'm trying to be different from my father, from my uncle. Trying to transition the family into legitimate operations while dismantling the worst parts of our legacy. Your prosecution was forcing my hand, convict me and my uncle takes over completely. Acquit me and I have a chance to stop him. Why should I help you? Because if you don't, my uncle wins. He gets control of the Kang Empire, kills everyone who opposes him including you and me, and Seoul organized crime becomes infinitely worse. Or you work with me. We take down Jae-sung together. Save my sister. Dismantle the actual criminal operations. And maybe, just maybe, build something better from the ruins. Ji-woo wanted to refuse. Wanted to maintain her prosecutorial integrity. Wanted to believe the system could handle this without her becoming complicit with a crime lord. But Detective Park's warning echoed in her mind. And the bodies of the corrupt police officers trying to kill her proved that the system was broken. One condition, she said. I help you take down your uncle. But afterward, you face justice. Real justice. For every crime you've actually committed. Full testimony. Complete cooperation. You don't get to walk away clean just because you're helping me. Agreed. I never expected to walk away clean. Tae-Hyun extended his hand. Partners? Ji-woo looked at his hand. Looked at the case files proving her entire prosecution had been manipulated. Looked at the most dangerous decision of her career. She shook his hand. Partners. God help me. God left Korea's criminal underworld a long time ago, Prosecutor Yoon. But I'll protect you better than any deity could. You have my word. Living in Tae-Hyun's safe house meant learning how the Kang family really operated. Ji-woo spent her days reviewing evidence, her nights attending business meetings that were thinly disguised criminal negotiations. Tae-Hyun insisted she understand his world before they could dismantle it. You can't prosecute what you don't understand, he explained during their third night together. Crime families operate on different rules than legitimate business. Hierarchy matters. Face matters. Insults can start wars. Mercy can be interpreted as weakness. You need to understand the language before you can speak it. I don't want to speak criminal. You want to destroy my uncle. To do that, you need to think like him. Anticipate his moves. Understand what motivates men who value power over everything else. Ji-woo hated that he was right. She watched Tae-Hyun negotiate with other crime families. Watched him balance diplomacy and threat, charm and violence. He was brilliant at it, the way he read people, calculated responses, turned potential conflicts into profitable partnerships. You would have made an excellent prosecutor, she told him after a particularly masterful negotiation. The way you argue, present evidence, persuade people to your position. You're wasted on crime. My father used to say the same thing. That I should have been a lawyer instead of a gangster. But the Kang family doesn't produce lawyers. We produce leaders. And I learned early that leading this family meant becoming comfortable with things lawyers fight against. Like what? Like ordering violence to maintain order. Like using fear as currency. Like making choices where every option is morally compromised and you just pick the one that causes least harm. He poured makgeolli into traditional bowls. You think prosecutors make hard choices. But you get to believe you're serving justice. I don't have that luxury. I serve the family. And sometimes the family's needs conflict with justice. Then change the family. You're the head now. Redirect it. I'm trying. But change takes time and my uncle doesn't want to give me that time. Hence the frame job. Hence the assassination attempts. Hence you sleeping in my guest room instead of preparing to convict me. They'd fallen into an unexpected rhythm. Mornings reviewing evidence against Jae-sung. Afternoons planning strategy. Evenings discussing everything except the case, her childhood in Busan, his expensive education abroad, the lives they'd have chosen if circumstances were different. What would you be doing? Tae-Hyun asked one night. If you weren't a prosecutor hunting crime lords. Professor, probably. Teaching law. Writing about judicial reform. Living a quiet, boring life with a cat and too many books. That sounds perfect. What would you be doing? If you weren't Kang Tae-Hyun, crime family head. Artist, maybe. I studied art history at Oxford. Loved museums. Loved the idea of creating beauty instead of managing violence. But that was a fantasy. The moment my father died, I became this. He gestured at himself, expensive suit, powerful bearing, the weight of empire. No escaping it. You could walk away. Testify against your family. Witness protection. Start over. And abandon my sister to my uncle's revenge? Abandon the hundreds of people who depend on Kang family protection? Abandon the chance to reform this empire from within? He shook his head. Walking away sounds noble. But it's just cowardice disguised as principle. I stay because staying matters. Ji-woo understood that logic more than she wanted to admit. She'd had opportunities to lead prosecution, private sector jobs that paid better, judgeships that offered prestige. But she'd stayed because fighting corruption mattered, even when the corruption seemed overwhelming. We're more alike than I thought, she said quietly. Terrifying, isn't it? The prosecutor and the crime lord. Both trapped by duty. Both trying to be better than our circumstances. Both knowing we'll probably fail but trying anyway. I don't plan to fail. Neither do I. Which is why we're going to take down my uncle. Together. The first real lead came from Detective Park. She'd recovered from her injuries and contacted Ji-woo through encrypted channels. I have proof of where Jae-sung is holding Seo-jin. And I have testimony from witnesses who'll confirm he ordered the murders you were prosecuting Tae-Hyun for. But I need protection. Jae-sung knows I'm talking. They met at a Buddhist temple in Wangsan, neutral ground where even criminals respected sanctuary. Park Min-seo looked haggard, scared, nothing like the confident detective who'd been feeding Ji-woo information for years. I'm sorry, Min-seo said immediately. I didn't know the evidence I was giving you was fabricated. I thought I was helping you catch a criminal. Instead, I was helping frame an innocent, well, less guilty, man. Who fed you the false evidence? Jae-sung's people. They approached me 2 years ago. Said they wanted to help take down Tae-Hyun because he was the violent one, the problem. I believed them because I wanted to believe the Kang family had internal good guys. I was stupid. You were manipulated. Where's Seo-jin? Min-seo pulled out a file. Jeju Island. Private compound owned through shell companies. Heavy security. Jae-sung keeps her comfortable but imprisoned. Uses her as leverage to keep Tae-Hyun compliant. Can you testify to all this? In court? With protection? If you guarantee my family's safety. Jae-sung will kill them to punish me for talking. I'll protect them, Tae-Hyun said, stepping from the shadows where he'd been listening. Move them into Kang family safe houses. My people, not my uncle's. They'll be untouchable. Min-seo looked at Ji-woo. You're working with him now? Temporarily. Enemy of my enemy. Or something more? Min-seo's eyes were knowing. I've seen the way you look at each other. The prosecutor and the gangster. Very dramatic. Very dangerous. It's not like that, Ji-woo said. Not yet. But it will be. These things always become complicated. Min-seo stood. I'll testify. Get me protection. Get Seo-jin back. Then we take down Jae-sung and clean up this mess. After Min-seo left, Ji-woo turned to Tae-Hyun. We need to rescue your sister before we move against your uncle. Otherwise he'll kill her the moment he realizes we're coming. Agreed. I've been planning a Jeju extraction for months. Just needed the exact location. He pulled out his phone, started making calls. We go in 3 days. Small team. Surgical strike. Get Seojin out before Jae-sung knows we're there. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. This is dangerous. I'm a prosecutor who just survived an assassination attempt and is now living with a crime lord. My life is already dangerous. Besides, you'll need someone with legal authority to ensure the extraction is defensible in court later. You're using legal justification to do something completely illegal. Welcome to moral compromise, Mr. Kang. I learned it from watching you. Tae-Hyun smiled. You're remarkable, Prosecutor Yoon. Absolutely remarkable. This is either going to be the best decision I've ever made or the one that destroys us both. Probably both. They planned the extraction with military precision. Tae-Hyun's security team, led by a former 707th Special Mission Battalion commander named Choi Hyun-woo, would handle tactical operations. Ji-woo would coordinate legal cover, ensuring they had justification if authorities got involved. But the night before the operation, Ji-woo couldn't sleep. She found Tae-Hyun in his study, reviewing blueprints of the Jeju compound. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. I'm a prosecutor. I argue in courtrooms. I don't raid crime lord compounds in the middle of the night. You can still back out. Stay here. Let my team handle it. No. I'm in this now. For better or worse. She sat beside him. Can I ask you something personal? Always. Do you really think we can win? Take down your uncle, save your sister, reform your family, all without getting killed or arrested. Tae-Hyun was quiet for a long moment. Honestly? I give us maybe 40% odds of succeeding. 30% odds of dying in the attempt. 30% odds of something in between, partial success, permanent exile, witness protection, who knows? Those are terrible odds. They're the best I've ever had. Before you, I was just surviving. Waiting for my uncle to make a move that would force my hand. But you gave me something I didn't have before. Hope. Partnership. The belief that maybe, just maybe, I can be more than my father's legacy. Ji-woo's heart did something complicated in her chest. Tae-Hyun. I know. This is inappropriate. You're the prosecutor. I'm the defendant. We're professional partners in an impossible situation. But I need you to know, working with you these past weeks has been the most alive I've felt in years. And regardless of what happens in Jeju, regardless of how this ends, I'm grateful. For you. For this chance. For everything. He stood to leave. Give her space. Professional distance. Ji-woo grabbed his hand. Pulled him back. Kissed him with all the fear and adrenaline and impossible attraction she'd been ignoring for weeks. He kissed her back like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. This is a terrible idea, Ji-woo whispered when they broke apart. The best ideas usually are. They made love in his study, surrounded by evidence of conspiracy and plans for war. Two people who should have been enemies, choosing each other despite every rational reason not to. And in the morning, they'd raid a crime lord's compound to save a hostage. But for that night, they were just Tae-Hyun and Ji-woo. The gangster and the prosecutor. Falling in love in the worst possible circumstances. Which was, somehow, perfect. The extraction happened at 3 a.m. on a moonless night. Tae-Hyun's team approached the Jeju compound from the ocean, inflatable boats, silent approach, military precision. Ji-woo stayed with Hyun-woo and the tactical coordinator, monitoring communications, ready to provide legal justification if Korean authorities intervened. Target acquired, came the whisper through her earpiece. Female, mid-20s, matches description of Kang Seo-jin. Confirming identity before extraction. Ji-woo held her breath. This was the moment everything could go wrong. Identity confirmed. Target is cooperative. Beginning extraction. It should have been smooth. Get in, get Seo-jin, get out. 30 minutes maximum. Then the compound's security systems activated. "We've been compromised," Hyunwoo said, his voice tight. "Jae-sung knew we were coming. This is a trap." Gunfire erupted. Ji-woo listened through her earpiece as Tae-Hyun's team engaged with Jae-sung's guards. Watched the compound through thermal imaging as bodies moved, fell, died. Tae-Hyun's pinned down, Hyunwoo reported. "Third floor. He needs extraction support." "Send everyone," Ji-woo ordered, her prosecutor's authority translating seamlessly to tactical command. "Get him out. Now. That leaves the perimeter undefended." "I don't care. Get him out or I go in myself." Hyunwoo made the call. The team redirected. And Ji-woo watched through thermal imaging as they fought their way to Tae-Hyun's position. He emerged carrying Seo-jin, blood streaming from a shoulder wound, his suit jacket abandoned, moving like the trained fighter he'd never admitted to being. They made it to the boats. Made it off the island. Made it back to Seoul before Korean authorities could respond to reports of gunfire at a private Jeju compound. In the safe house, a doctor treated Tae-Hyun's shoulder while Seo-jin, freed after 6 months of captivity, cried and thanked him and told him everything Jae-sung had said. "He's planning something big," Seo-jin explained, her hands shaking around a cup of tea. "He kept saying the trial was just the beginning. That once you were convicted or killed, he'd have complete control of the family. Then he'd expand operations. Make the Kang Empire bigger than father ever dreamed. He's ambitious. Ruthless. And he has support from other crime families who think you're too weak because you want to go legitimate." "Did he say when he's making his move?" Ji-woo asked. "Soon. Days, maybe weeks. He's been consolidating power. Buying off family captains. Making alliances with rivals. He's building something massive." Tae-Hyun and Ji-woo exchanged looks. They'd rescued Seo-jin, but the war was just beginning. "We need to strike first," Tae-Hyun said. "Hit him before he's ready. Expose his crimes publicly. Force the authorities to arrest him before he can retaliate." "I'll need evidence that will stand up in court," Ji-woo replied. "Real evidence, not the fabricated stuff he fed to Detective Park." "Can you get it?" "I can get it. But it'll mean exposing family secrets. Destroying the Kang Empire's reputation even further. Making us vulnerable to rivals who'll see weakness and attack. Then we move against them too. Clean house completely. Arrest Jae-sung and everyone complicit. Build a new Kang family from scratch, legitimate, legal, everything your father should have built." "That's ambitious. So is falling in love with a crime lord and raiding his uncle's compound. I'm apparently full of ambitious ideas lately." Tae-Hyun smiled despite the pain from his shoulder wound. "When this is over, if we survive, remind me to properly thank you for all those ambitious ideas. When this is over, you're testifying against your entire family and probably going to prison. How exactly do you plan to thank me?" "I'll figure something out. I'm very motivated." They spent the next 72 hours preparing. Tae-Hyun gathered evidence, financial records, recorded conversations, testimony from family members willing to turn against Jae-sung. Ji-woo coordinated with prosecutors she trusted, building an airtight case that couldn't be dismissed or corrupted. Detective Park provided testimony linking Jae-sung to the murders, the frame job, the assassination attempts. Everything they needed to destroy him. "We're ready," Ji-woo said on day 3. "We arrest Jae-sung tomorrow. Public. Dramatic. Maximum media coverage. Make it impossible for corrupt officials to interfere." "He won't go quietly," Tae-Hyun warned. "He'll fight. People will die. Then we make sure the right people die and the innocent survive. That's all we can do." The arrest happened at a Kang family meeting in Gangnam. Jae-sung had called it a gathering of all family captains, supposedly to discuss business. Actually, Ji-woo suspected, to announce Tae-Hyun's removal and his own ascension to family leadership. Instead, Ji-woo arrived with a warrant and 50 police officers she personally vetted. Kang Jae-sung, she announced, walking into the meeting room like she owned it. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, racketeering, money laundering, and attempted murder of a prosecutor. You have the right to remain silent. Jae-sung pulled a gun. So did half the room. Family captains loyal to him, ready to fight rather than surrender. This is a mistake, Prosecutor Yoon, Jae-sung said, his voice calm despite the weapon in his hand. You're arresting the wrong man. Again. My nephew has corrupted you. Made you believe his lies. But I'm the one protecting this family. I'm the one maintaining order. By killing your own brother? By framing your nephew? By holding his sister hostage for 6 months? Ji-woo didn't flinch despite the guns pointed at her. I have testimony. Evidence. Witnesses. You're finished. I'm far from finished. Then Tae-Hyun walked in. Not alone. With every family captain loyal to him. With security teams. With proof that he, not Jae-sung, commanded the family's true loyalty. Uncle, Tae-Hyun said quietly. Put the gun down. You've lost. The family knows what you've done. They know you killed my father. They know you've been stealing from family accounts. They know you were willing to destroy me to gain power. You have no support. No allies. No escape. Put down the gun and face justice. Justice? Jae-sung laughed bitterly. There's no justice in this world. Only power. And I have more than you'll ever. He moved to shoot Tae-Hyun. Ji-woo moved faster. Years of martial arts training. Months of working with Tae-Hyun's security team. Instincts honed by survival. She disarmed Jae-sung in 3 moves, had him on the ground in 5, cuffed him while police swarmed the room. That was remarkable, Tae-Hyun said, watching her with undisguised admiration. I'm a Busan girl. We don't die easily. Ji-woo hauled Jae-sung to his feet. Kang Jae-sung, you're under arrest. And this time, the charges are going to stick. Jae-sung's trial lasted 3 months. Ji-woo prosecuted personally, presenting evidence so overwhelming that even corrupt judges couldn't dismiss it. Financial records. Testimony from family members. Recorded conversations where Jae-sung admitted to murder, conspiracy, theft. Tae-Hyun testified for 6 days. Admitted his own complicity in family crimes. Explained how his uncle had systematically eliminated opposition. Proved that Jae-sung, not him, had ordered the murders. The verdict came back guilty on all counts. Life in prison without possibility of parole. Justice, Ji-woo said as Jae-sung was led away in handcuffs. Finally. But the victory was bittersweet. Because now came the hard part, prosecuting Tae-Hyun. They'd made a deal. He'd help her take down Jae-sung. Then he'd face justice for his own crimes. Full testimony. Complete cooperation. No walking away clean. I'm ready, Tae-Hyun said when they met in her office to discuss terms. Charge me with whatever crimes I've actually committed. I'll plead guilty. Accept whatever sentence the court deems appropriate. You could fight it. Hire expensive lawyers. Drag it out for years. I could. But I gave you my word. And a king's word means something. At least, mine does. Ji-woo looked at the man she'd fallen in love with. The crime lord who'd become her partner. The gangster who'd chosen justice over power. I'm going to recommend minimum sentencing, she said. Acknowledge your cooperation. Your testimony against Jae-sung. Your efforts to reform the family. Push for 5 years instead of 20. That's generous. That's what you deserve. You're not your uncle. You're not even your father. You're someone trying to be better. The law should recognize that. The trial was brief. Tae-Hyun pled guilty to racketeering and money laundering, lesser charges than he could have faced, in recognition of his cooperation. The judge sentenced him to 6 years with possibility of parole after 4. I'll wait for you, Ji-woo told him the day before he entered prison. You shouldn't. You're brilliant. Beautiful. You have your whole career ahead of you. Find someone legitimate. Someone who won't destroy your reputation by association. I don't want someone legitimate. I want you. The man who showed me that justice is complicated. That people can change. That choosing to be better matters more than where you started. Tae-Hyun kissed her. Long and deep and desperate. 4 years. Wait for me for 4 years. Then we'll build that life we talked about. Legitimate. Legal. Everything we should have been from the start. I'll be waiting. I promise. Prosecutor Yoon Ji-woo stood outside Seoul Detention Center, watching the gates. It had been 4 years. 4 years of visiting Tae-Hyun weekly. 4 years of building her career while waiting for his release. 4 years of reforming the Kang family empire with Seo-jin, who'd taken over operations and systematically legitimized every aspect. The Kang family was still powerful. But now they were powerful businesspeople, not gangsters. Real estate developers. Tech investors. Legitimate operators in Seoul's economy. The gates opened. Tae-Hyun walked out, blinking in the sunlight, wearing civilian clothes for the first time in 4 years. He saw her. Smiled. Crossed the distance between them and pulled her into his arms. You waited. I promised. I always keep my promises. What now? Now we build that life. The quiet one. The boring one. The one where you're just Kang Tae-Hyun and I'm just Yoon Ji-woo and we don't have to save each other from assassins or trials or impossible moral compromises. That sounds perfect. But also slightly boring. Are you sure you can handle boring after everything we've been through? Ji-woo kissed him. With you? I'll make it work. They drove to a small apartment in Songbukdong, modest, quiet, far from the Gangnam luxury Tae-Hyun had grown up in. Seo-jin had arranged it, furnished it, made it home. What's your plan? Ji-woo asked that first night, lying in his arms in their new bed. No more crime family. No more power. What does Kang Tae-Hyun do with his life now? I'm thinking about that art history degree I never finished. Maybe open a gallery. Support young Korean artists. Use the family money for something beautiful instead of violent. I love that. I also have news. What news? I'm leaving the prosecutor's office. Taking a teaching position at Seoul National University. Criminal law. Ethical prosecution. How to navigate moral complexity while maintaining integrity. That's perfect for you. I know. I'm tired of courtrooms and criminals. I want to teach the next generation to be better than we were. Build a justice system that actually works. You're remarkable, Ji-woo. Have I mentioned that? Once or twice. But I never get tired of hearing it. They built their life slowly. Tae-Hyun opened his gallery. Ji-woo taught her classes. They had dinner with Seo-jin weekly, watched her transform the Kang Empire into something their father never could have imagined. A year after Tae-Hyun's release, he proposed. Not with a ring, with a painting. Something he'd created in prison, a landscape of Busan where Ji-woo grew up, beautiful and detailed and full of hope. Marry me, he said simply. Not the crime lord. Not the reformed gangster. Just me. The man who loves you more than power, more than legacy, more than anything he was raised to value. Yes. Always yes. They married in Busan. Small ceremony. Ji-woo's mother crying with joy. Seo-jin as maid of honor. Detective Park as a witness. The people who'd survived the impossible with them. Prosecutor and gangster, Ji-woo said at the reception. Who would have thought? Everyone who knew us, Tae-Hyun replied. It was obvious from the moment you walked into that courtroom ready to destroy me. We were always going to end up here. Together. Choosing each other despite everything. I choose you. Today and always. I choose you too. My prosecutor. My wife. My salvation. And in the years that followed, they proved that redemption was possible. That people could change. That love could survive trials and prison and impossible moral compromises. Kang Tae-Hyun became one of Seoul's most respected art dealers. Yoon Ji-woo became a renowned professor whose students went on to reform Korea's justice system. Together, they built something beautiful from the ruins of their impossible beginning. And every year, on the anniversary of that first trial, the one that almost destroyed him, they returned to the courthouse and thanked whatever force had brought them together. Because the prosecutor who'd wanted to destroy the crime lord had instead saved him. And in saving him, she'd saved herself. That was worth more than any verdict, any sentence, any measure of justice. It was love. Complicated, impossible, transformative love. And it was perfect.